So, what if I told you there's a cancer that has been growing inside people for 20 years before a single doctor ever finds it? Steve Jobs had it, Aretha Franklin had it, Alex Trebek had it. Some of the most powerful people alive, unlimited money, best doctors on the planet, and they couldn't stop it. But right now, in 2026, something changed. Scientists cracked a genetic code that they literally called impossible for 40 years, and the results? Genuinely jaw-dropping. Today, I'm breaking down the full story from the very beginning. Pancreatic cancer has one of the lowest survival rates of any major cancer. At the most advanced stage, the stage where most people are diagnosed, the 5-year survival rate is roughly 1%. Not 50, not 20, 1. Okay, so first, we need to understand what we're dealing with, because most people don't even know where the pancreas actually is. And that ignorance? It's literally part of why this cancer kills so efficiently. It's about 6 inches long. It sits behind your stomach, like deep behind your stomach, tucked into a crook between your gut and your small intestine. 2 jobs: makes digestive enzymes and produces insulin. And because it's buried so deep, when cancer starts growing in there, you feel nothing, literally nothing, at first. Think of it like a serial killer living in your basement. You have no idea. Nothing looks different. Life feels totally normal. And then one day, boom, you find out. And by then, the damage is already everywhere. Research actually figured out the exact timeline. The first mutated cell appears, year 0. Then, 11.7 years later, a full tumor forms. Then, another 6.8 years, it spreads. Then, 2.7 more years, it becomes fatal. Total, over 20 years. The cancer has been building inside someone for 2 decades, and doctors are finding it with maybe months to spare. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but this is 2026, blood tests. We can detect almost anything, so why can't we just find it early? And here's the brutal answer. By the time a pancreatic tumor is big enough to reliably show up on standard imaging, it's often already spread to other organs. Before we go any further, I want to pause here for a second. Has anyone in your family been affected by pancreatic cancer? Drop it in the comments below. Seriously, a lot of people watching this are going through something really tough, and knowing you're not alone, it actually matters. I'll be reading every single one. Okay, so we know why this cancer is so hard to find, but here's the part that's going to genuinely make your jaw drop. Even when doctors did find it, they couldn't attack it. Because hiding inside almost every single pancreatic tumor is a genetic villain that scientists called, and I am not making this up, undruggable. And it had been winning since 1982. It's 1982. Scientists were on a roll. They'd just discovered a new class of genes called oncogenes, genes that, when mutated, flip a switch and cause uncontrolled cell growth. Nature magazine literally called 1982 the year of the oncogene. And right in the middle of all this excitement, they found one called KRAS. And here's the thing about KRAS and pancreatic cancer. This mutation is present in more than 90% of all cases. Not 20, not 50, 90 plus. One single genetic glitch is the engine driving almost every case of this cancer on Earth. So scientists found it, they identified it, they stared at it for years, and then they basically couldn't do a single thing about it for 40 years. The KRAS protein has this almost perfectly smooth surface. Most drugs work by finding a groove or pocket in a protein to grip onto. KRAS? Frictionless wall. Nothing sticks. Imagine knowing exactly who the villain is and literally being unable to stop them. And if the undruggable mutation wasn't enough, the cancer has another trick. Pancreatic tumors wrap themselves in this dense, fibrous armor called the tumor stroma. It's like the cancer builds its own castle wall. Chemo drugs approach the tumor and just can't get through. The fortress holds. And then, there's one more layer to this nightmare. Your immune system is supposed to be your body's army, but pancreatic cancer cells are masters of disguise. They basically wave a little flag that says, "I'm normal, don't attack me." And your immune system just rolls right past them. So let's just review what science was up against. Cancer that grows silently for 20 years, buried in one of the most inaccessible organs in the body, driven by a mutation nobody could touch, wrapped in physical armor, and invisible to the immune system. No wonder this thing had a 100% win rate for 60 years. Okay, here's where the story completely changes, and I need you to actually pay attention to this next part, because what happened in 2026 is something that researchers genuinely thought they might never live to see. The drug is called daraxonrasib, made by a company called Revolution Medicines, and honestly, the name couldn't be more perfect. This is the first drug to directly target the KRAS mutation, not work around it, not try to fight what it causes, target it directly. The mutation that was called undruggable since 1982 cracked. The results? Patients with advanced pancreatic cancer, people who'd already burned through chemotherapy, who had basically run out of options, historically survived around 6 months after their last treatment failed. On daraxonrasib, 13 to 15 months, more than double, for people who had nothing left. But wait, it gets wilder. You know the mRNA technology from the COVID vaccines. Scientists took that same approach and aimed it at pancreatic cancer. A personalized vaccine, custom-built for each patient using the genetic fingerprint of their own tumor, to teach the immune system to finally see the cancer it's been ignoring. In a phase 1 trial with 16 patients, 8 of them showed a strong immune response. Now, 6 years later, 7 of those 8 are still alive and cancer-free. In a disease where the average patient doesn't make it past 1 year, 7 out of 8. That's not just a good result. In pancreatic cancer research, that's never been seen before. And if that wasn't enough, in February 2026, the FDA approved a wearable device called Optune Pax. It delivers electric fields directly at the tumor, disrupting how cancer cells divide. Patients using it alongside chemo survived an average of 16 months instead of 14. And here's the kicker. It was the first FDA approval for locally advanced pancreatic cancer in nearly 30 years. So, in the span of just a few months in 2026, a pill that targets the undruggable mutation, an mRNA vaccine with 7 out of 8 patients alive 6 years later, a wearable device, first approval in 30 years. 3 completely different approaches, 3 completely different angles, all arriving at the same moment in history. For 60 years, this cancer won. Every single time. Not because doctors didn't care, not because scientists weren't trying, but because it was genuinely, almost incomprehensibly complex. And the people who lost, Steve Jobs, Aretha Franklin, Alex Trebek, and millions of others who never made the headlines, they weren't failed by medicine. They were just ahead of the breakthrough. The KRAS mutation, undruggable in 1982, cracked. The immune system that couldn't see cancer, now being retrained with a vaccine. The tumor armor that blocked chemo, disrupted by electric fields. Is it a full cure? Not yet. But the trajectory, for the first time in 60 years, is pointing up. And in a disease this brutal, pointing up is everything. If this story hit you, smash that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives exactly like this one. And tell me in the comments, what surprised you most? The 20-year timeline? The mRNA vaccine? The 40 years of undruggable? I'll see you in the next one.